If that's Brisbane, it's looking clear from here on. It's on 19 degrees and now pretty clear, just partly cloudy in Sydney. Haven't said that for a while. 15 degrees right now. And 12 in Canberra, mostly clear for you too. Now just the chance of a shower in Melbourne, 13 at the moment. And the possibility of a late shower in Hobart and sitting on 11. So it looks like it's clearing up in most places. Certainly clear in Adelaide, it's 13 degrees, and in Perth, which is just partly cloudy, and 16. Not sure you'll make it to 19. Darwin did make it to 28, just starting to come back a little on 27. It's a sunny day for you. Time for the latest news, 4:30 Eastern, 4 o'clock in the centre, and now exactly 2:30 in the west.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. Doctors say people should feel relaxed about their access to COVID vaccines for their fourth shot now that the green light's being given for a much broader section of the population to get it. The peak vaccine advisory body ATAGI is recommending a fourth dose for people aged 50 to 64, and those aged 30 to 49 will also be given the option to get a fourth dose, but it's not being formally recommended by authorities. Dr. Danny Byrne, the chair of the Royal Australasian College of GPs, says from next week, people who book a fourth shot will be able to choose what they want, as Australia is virtually swimming with COVID vaccine doses.
It's ironic, isn't it? Because last year, it was all chaos and, it was Hunger Games and all this sort of business, fighting to find a COVID shot. we chucked out a few hundred on the 1st of July because they expired, which was a pity. We've got plenty and there's plenty to order.
Victoria Police is deploying 7 officers to assist with the New South Wales flood effort. They're from the Water Police and Search and Rescue squads. They'll undertake tasks including water rescues to help flood-affected residents. The officers will be based in Singleton in the Hunter region, which has been lashed by heavy rain over the last 24 hours. A police spokesperson says the officers train regularly so they can respond quickly when needed. Meanwhile, the Federal Water Minister hasn't ruled out increasing water allocations in the Murray-Darling Basin as major flooding in New South Wales continues. Tanya Plibersek is on a listening tour across the basin after taking on the portfolios of water and environment after Labor won May's federal election. She says she won't make decisions on the fly when it comes to allocating water to different basin user groups.
As beautiful and green as everything looks now, there's a very good chance that in a few years' time we'll be back to facing water shortages. And we do need to take into account the fact that the climate's changing, that there'll be less water, more pressure.
Meanwhile, Ms Plibersek has also announced almost $38 million to modernise irrigation channels in Mildura, a joint project with the state government which includes returning water to traditional owners. The Northern Territory Cattlemen's Associations welcomed additional biosecurity precautions at airports to prevent a local outbreak of foot and mouth disease. It comes after the highly contagious livestock disease was detected in Bali. The Federal Agriculture Minister Murray Watt yesterday announced a range of measures, including detector dogs at Darwin and Cairns Airport and biosecurity officials boarding incoming flights from Indonesia. But the association's CEO, Will Evans, says the COVID pandemic's shown rules are only as good as their enforcement.
Certainly welcome the Minister's announcements and additional steps that they've been taking to strengthen quarantine points at airports and engaging with people who are coming back from Indonesia and Bali. But we need to make sure that those changes really hit the ground and that they do happen with the appropriate level of efficacy.
Heading overseas, and Hong Kong has suspended a rule banning individual flights for bringing passengers infected with COVID-19. Under the restrictions, the territory's banned 100 flights from entering this year, leaving many citizens stranded abroad. Health officials say the rule is causing unnecessary trouble and inconvenience to residents of the global financial hub, and all arrivals are still required to isolate for a week in hotel quarantine. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is defying calls to resign, despite at least 44 ministers and aides quitting since yesterday. Mandy Sammy has the story.
This has been an unprecedented 24 hours. A third of the government are now gone, following a stream of resignations. Those who've left say they can no longer serve under Boris Johnson's leadership amid concerns about his honesty and integrity. Scottish National Party Westminster leader Ian Blackford says the Prime Minister has lost the confidence of his own party.
He needs to recognise that he no longer has the moral authority to lead.
Earlier, Mr Johnson told a parliamentary committee he won't step down because the last thing the country needs is an election.
And prosecutors in the US say the man charged with killing 7 people at an Independence Day parade in Chicago has confessed to the mass shooting. Robert Cremos appeared in court for the first time since the attack. Police say he escaped the scene dressed as a woman and fled to the neighbouring state, Wisconsin. They alleged he considered attacking another parade there, but decided he hadn't done enough planning, so he returned to the Chicago area where he was arrested. He's facing a mandatory sentence of life without parole. ABC News.